Hi, so we're working our way through some more Python lessons. And in this lesson, what we're going to spend some time doing is we're going to be looking at how we can just do some basic maths with Python. Now, the key thing that you will notice this time is when we are doing numbers or when we are working with numbers, we don't have speech marks around them. This is because speech marks make things strings. So we're working with a different data type this time. You'll notice I've got pi num here. This is what we call a float. Okay, it's a partial number, it's a decimal. So this is what we would call a float, a partial number. This, however, here is not a float, it's an integer. And this here, again, is an integer. Why is that important? In our future videos, we'll talk a little bit about that, and you'll learn that when you're working with integers and floats, you may have to convert them into different data types to work with different programs. So it's really kind of important that you pay close attention to that in what you're doing. Now, I put some hashtags up here because they're equally important. Now, if you were doing maths at school or if you just know maths in general, it's important that you think about the order of precedence when you're working with numbers. We've got brackets, then indices, then division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. And that comes into play when you are working with numbers. So you must always make sure the part that is in the bracket first is worked out and so on. So it's the brackets first, then division comes next, then multiplication. So you need to think about the order that you do the programming. Now, some other things that I've made a note of here, which you may not have come across before, it is exponentiation. The exponent, all right, needs to be, instead of using this symbol, which you may have seen to say like 2 to the power of and so on in your maths lesson, in Python, it becomes 2 stars. Okay, so I'm going to give you some examples of this in a minute, all right? We also have integer division. So I just need to divide a number, and what you want to do with that is kind of show the whole number, the rounded down number. That's how we do that. If I want to do a regular divide, it's just regular, sorry, it's just a simple forward slash to divide. But when I want to get the whole number rounded down without the remainder, I can use a double forward slash. And I'm going to explain this in a minute. If I want to use the remainder, which you will see in algorithm programming papers, the word mod, in Python it becomes the percentage symbol. So we're just going to work with some of these right now, just so you can kind of see what happens with them. Now, I'm not going to teach you to suck an egg and continue almost talking about how to add numbers together and so on. That's pretty straightforward. I could just do total equals first num plus second num, and I can print that out, and you'll see how simple that is. All right, that prints that out. That's 75. But again, if I wanted to do if I wanted to add those together and multiply it by 2, I remember that brackets comes first and multiplication is later. So when I print this out now, watch what happens. That's 150. All right. But watch what happens if I multiply to there. That's 100 because of the order of precedence. Okay. So remember the second number is 25. So it's only multiplying that by 2. All right. So please pay attention closely to what's happening with your brackets. Play around with it if you need to understand how this works, and it will help you. Now, I'm going to give you some examples. All right. So I'm going to do, all right, total equals 2 star 2 print total. Let's run that. So 2 to the power of 2 is 4. We're going to say 2 to the power of 10 now. Let's see where we get with that. 1024. We are going to go 2 to the power of 8. 256. And you should understand that anyway through if you've done a bit of computer science and you understand how binary works and how we go 1, 2, 4, 8, and so on. So if you had 8 bits. So that's the exponentiation there. All right. Then we've got a regular division. So maybe I want to do division number equals let's go second num divided by 2. I'm going to print division number now. Let me hashtag these out because I don't need these at the moment. And let's run that. So you can see that's divided it and it's created 12.5. Now, watch what happens when I put 2 forward slashes in front of it. Can you see it's rounded it down? So by using 2 forward slashes, it gives you the whole part of the number rather than the actual fractional part. If I wanted to work out what the remainder was only, that is where I would use the percent symbol to work out the remainder. So that would show me that there's one remainder. So what I could do, all right, and this will lead on to a future lesson, I could say print your, so we're just going, because I'm going to teach you casting later on, I'm going to do something which is bad programming right now, but we're going to say, let's say, we're going to say 25. Tell you what, I'm going to show you how to do a little bit of casting, okay? So later on, you'll need to know how to convert different data types. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write a quick program. All right. Right, so we know that we need, we're going to convert, we're going to do final answer, we're going to say remainder equals 25, and what we want to do to work out the remainder is do %2. We're going to go whole number equals 25 by 2. Now, what I'm going to do here, just so you can see what it is I'm going to go remainder equals str, remainder. Now, what that's done is converted it from an integer So it's converted that from an integer into a string. Now, what it means, because I've converted that, is I can now go print, all right, 25 divided by 2. I can use the other strings if I wanted to, but I've not converted them yet. 25 by 2 is a whole number of, I'm going to say whole number. The remainder of this number is join up remainder. Let's see how this works. I may have a syntax error, but we'll fix that. So 25 divided by 2 is a whole number of 12. The remainder of this number is 1. So that has worked that out there. Now watch what happens if I don't convert the data type. And I'll do a full lesson about this on its own. But if I just did, let's put that back in. If I comment this out, watch when it talks about the mismatch of data. Watch. Can only concatenate string, not int. We will talk about that more later, but this gives you a kind of door into doing different mathematical equations, and it will help you later on through your programming. I hope that was useful. Enjoy, and I will see you in the next lessons as we go through the weeks.